Hello, this is Mr. Bartz. I am going to be out for this week. I don't have a choice. So I started you looking at blueprints, I think Friday and yesterday, because we're going to have to learn how to read a blueprint. So I need you to understand that if I'm not there, whether it's 1 day or 5 days, I am never giving busy work. I am always going to try and give you some work, some exposure, some practice on something that you need to know to be successful in the shop. We haven't done anything with blueprint reading, so to me it was a perfect time to start getting you going on blueprint reading. Okay, so if you're still kind of fuzzy, shall we say, after I talk to you about this particular print, then I would go back and watch those videos again. I'm going to kind of sum up how that information fits in with our project, and this is the project we're going to do. If you remember, I showed you this before, and we're going to do it both on the mill and on the lathe, try and get us spread out. This ends gets done on the lathe, but we don't know how to do that stuff yet. So after the blueprint here, I'm going to start showing you some videos, having you watch some videos about doing stuff on the lathe. But when it comes to the mill, we're going to be milling that slot and drilling a hole. And if you're on the mill first, so we'll talk about processes, but I need you to understand reading this print. So this is called an isometric view up here. It gives me a 3D view of what it looks like if it was really in front of me. And then it changes and we take a look directly, shall we say, from a side here, looking directly this way would be, let me change colors, black doesn't really work. That would be here. Okay, this is my front. Okay, didn't change my text, I guess. And then if you swing around to the right hand side over here, okay, that would be over here, and this is my right side. Okay, so the right's over here also. Okay, and then it should be pretty easy to figure out if I'm standing here, if I have my front view, above it is the top view. Okay, is the top view. So when I got my front, to the right is the right, to the top, above it is the top view. Okay, so understanding the views is really important in order to figure out what the heck is going on. Okay, so this does look like a square from the top view, and looking at the front view, this end piece looks like that same square. So it could be a square if I didn't have another view, but I have another view, and that other view, if I follow these lines straight across, I can't draw a line really straight here. Oh yes, I can. If I use shape line, if I follow this straight across, let me undo that. Make it, see, I didn't set this up, sorry. So if I bring this line straight across, it lines up. And if I got rid of this crummy looking line here and I went with a straight line and went straight across, my goodness, shapes, not eraser, get rid of that, shapes, there we go, it goes straight across. Okay, so in the other views I talked about, you should be able to transfer lines across to understand. Notice this little dash line under here, that means it's a hidden line. So we're looking from the end over here, looking this way, and I really can't see that from the end because this part is in the way. All right, but if this was made of glass, I could see it, and so that's one way to think of it. Can I see it real, or is it like behind glass? And so if it's behind glass, it's a hidden line. Or if I can see it through the glass, I need to draw it, but it has to be hidden because it's behind something. So that's how they're using these hidden lines. These hidden lines going up and down are for the hole. If I transfer the lines up, I can see that they line up to the hole. Okay, so this is, they call this orthographic projection when you have a top, a front, and a right side view, and it helps you to determine what these features are from different views. Okay, so let me get rid of some junk here. Okay, so with this we have dimensions, okay, and we have to look at the dimensions. And if you remember reading blueprints, I said really important thing is to look at the title block down here. This is the title block. Okay, so this title block has information in it. It tells me who drew it, what the part name is. It should tell me a scale up here. It also should tell me, most of the time they're going to tell you tolerances. We talked about tolerances. Okay, but if you look, these are all 3-place decimals. This is a 2-place decimal. This is a 2-place decimal, 0.25, 0.25. So in this particular print, I'm going to put them over here. We're going to go with tolerances that are 0.xx. Oh, wait a minute, where's my text box? Let's go bigger so you guys can see this. There we go. So 0.xx, meaning 2 places to the right of the decimal, is going to equal plus minus 0.010, 10 thousandths. Okay, and 3 places to the right of the decimal are going to equal plus or minus, either direction. I can either be bigger or smaller, but this one's a closer tolerance, 0.005. So 3-place decimal is plus or minus 5, and 2-place decimal is plus or minus 10. So you need to know this information going into it before you make your part, so you know how perfect you need to be. Okay, so what a tolerance is basically a deviation or an allowed amount off of perfect. Okay, so so a giveaway that helps you determine that this is a diameter, even though it looks square, is it says the dimension says diameter. Okay, so on this part, there's a few things that are definitely have to be done on the lathe, and a few things that definitely have to be done on the mill. So this round absolutely has to be done on the lathe. So if you are assigned to the lathe, you're going to have to first take care of the length. Similar to how on the practice part we milled on the end with the mill. We milled it, and you milled both sides, and then you milled it to a size. On the lathe you'll do the same thing, only they have a different terminology for it, but it's the same thing. You'll clean up one end first, you'll flip it around, you'll clean up the other end, you'll measure, and then you'll make it size. Okay, let's see if I can get rid of these. So that would be the first order of business on the lathe, and then you would go and make this the right length and size. Now notice on the lathe here, these round parts, it has both a diameter, which is across like this, and it also has a length dimension, 750 on this side. So it goes from here to here. So you have to make it the right diameter by the right length. Then you would flip it around and you would do the same thing on the other side. It's 500 long and 500 diameter. So that would be on this end. That's all that can be done on this lathe. But that's enough work that the people that are on the mill should be able to do their work on the mill. And so let me explain that work. Okay, let me get rid of these lines. So if I am, try a different color for the mill. So if on the mill I go to the mill first, I again have to do the same thing with the length. I'm going to put it in the vise. We're going to clean up the one end just like we did our part. We're going to flip it around. We're going to end up cleaning up the other end, but obviously we're going to flip the part around because we're always working on the left-hand side with our cutter here, okay, milling down the side, okay. But we're going to continue that until we get this 3.0 length, plus or minus 5,000. So it could be 3.005, or it could be as small as 2.995. So we'll have to measure carefully. All right. So once we mill that to size, then we're going to have to use that same end mill, 3/4 inch end mill, and that end mill, let me see if I can, nope, trying to remember how to move this. Oh, there it is, select. So our end mill actually it's going to move. We're going to cut right down the middle here. Let me grab it. There we go. It's not letting me do it. We're actually going to start in the back and we're going to mill right through. Okay, I'm going to mill right through, and which is like coming right through here. We're going to cut it out until we get down to the dimension height, which is the 250. Well, it doesn't work as nice as it does on the smartboard, but doing the best I can. So that's why we had to do edge finding, because where do I mill this slot that's this wide? The easy part is it's the same width as the cutter, but the center of this is the center of the cutter, just like when we drill the hole. So we're going to have to edge find two different numbers here. Guess I should have left it a circle. So we're going to have to go 433 down. So we edge find the back, we edge find the end, we move over here an X, and then we can cut back and forth with our cutter until we get size. Then when we need to center drill and drill the hole, we're just going to go right to this point right here, and then we're going to center drill and drill the hole. Now there's a little trick that we'll have to talk about when we go to do it with parallels, because the parallels don't like to sit on these angles here. So I'll fill you in on that a little bit later. So that's the approach we're going to use with this part. So I hope this is helpful. And again, you know, you might have to watch this again. I haven't rehearsed this a bunch of times, but I know what I want you to know. So if you study, if you pause and you look at the dimensions and you kind of get an understanding on, where's this dimension go to? So these extension lines extend the part feature so that we can put a dimension on it. Depth dimensions, height dimensions. It'll help. The more you look at this and you get an understanding of the different views, the easier it will be to make the part. The next day after this, I'm going to have some videos on the lathe, lathe operations, lathe setup, lathe tools, very much the same as we did on the mill. If you kind of feel like you're losing, forgetting the stuff on the mill, the videos are still there. If you finish the videos early that are assigned, maybe go and watch some of them again, so that when I come back, my goal is for some of us to go on the lathe and learn the lathe, and others probably to start working on the mill. So the better you are prepared for the mill, and then we'll flip-flop. I think we need to try and spread out more and not be so close together, but that's going to be challenging. So I'm going to need everybody really to be on task and doing what you're supposed to be doing, so that we can do it, okay? Because I think that the groupings that we have put us in not good positions as far as health. So there's really not a good way to teach how to do different machines with one person and a lot of students. So we'll do the best we can, but I'm going to need you guys to really focus in and do your part. Also, the better we get it and the quicker we get it, the more we can spread out and work on different projects and stuff like that as well. And you'll get to pick a project from a couple of choices. So that's kind of the game plan here. So once you get this and you review any other print videos you need to, my next move is going to be to start giving you videos and information on the lathe. Okay.